Yeah, mega good noise in the back of the Porsche. Considering all the horror stories of the older Porsches and the rear engines, this thing's just so good, so balanced. Now let me tell you a story about Porsche. One of the coolest things about these cars is probably everything, but they're so stubborn about the rear engine aspect that it has four-wheel steering now. Ever since the 991 came to fruition, they added a little bit, just a tiny touch of rear steering in the back end, and it gives the car better entry corner speed or stability, and just enough to help you get that back end in check without the tail wagging the dog, as Porsches often used to do, or so people would have you believe. Say what you want. I know a lot of people don't like Porsche. Oh, everyone's got a Porsche. Well, the cool thing about Porsche is because there's so many of these on the road and they have so many fans, that if you do anything to this, you go to the dealer and say, hey, I bent this on the track, or oh, this happened. No worries, we got one in stock. We'll have your car back to you within a week. Great, do that with most supercars. You're not gonna have the luxury of having parts available. These things are built to be track machines. I've been to the Nürburgring, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 times. These things are everywhere, and everyone that has one swears by them because they're not scared to use and abuse them. And that's why I'd almost winter drive this. Not gonna lie, it's an amazing car. It's also got a Wang gang. You get to be part of the Wang, the exclusive Wang club. Comes in green, purple, bunch of other colors, red as well. It doesn't really need too much of an introduction. I will say one of the coolest things about Porsche as well, and I believe this is an option, but someone can correct me if I'm wrong. That's a single lug. That is a single lug on the wheel. One, that's it. Zzz, quick gun. Again, it's a track tool. The RS is the track going version. Your air intakes on the rear. I think one of the most untalked about things in a Porsche, I almost got whiplash the first time I hit the brakes in one of these. They will stop on a frigging dime. They are incredible. Even without much heat in them, they've got so much bite. I think the brakes on a Porsche, if I had to say, again, haven't driven too many of these others, probably the best in the world. Air intakes in the rear, classic on a Porsche, aren't they? They've got the big old hips on the girl. But these are also really cool. They are functional. I think they're cool just because they look amazing. They've got that race car fin vibe to them, but that also lets a lot of the heat out of the brake. It also takes a lot of the buffeting that comes into the wheel arch out of the car. So that will vent out a lot of air that would parachute the front of the car. And even though it's a small detail, that is functioning aero because it takes, I guess, the buildup, the drag out of that position, that wheel arch. These tunnel into the sides, give you a bit more to work with. There is a trunk in there, believe it or not, under the carbon hood. And say what you want about the whole squash beetle. You know, some journalists, now washed up, some would say, have said that about it in the past. You know what? I would drive a squashed cockroach if it was as fast as this damn thing. And it's, I think, beautiful. Smiley face, or otherwise, I don't care how you look at it, it's still better looking than a Nissan GT-R. Regular door for regular people, because Porsches are regular cars, or anything but. It's a spaceship. One of the cool things Porsche does, they identify that race cars typically have a smaller diameter circumference wheel, and they've done that. So this wheel is smaller than most road car wheels are. It gives you more, I guess, play in the wheel without as much work. So you can make corrections quicker, you don't have to move your hands as much. And I believe you have the option between the leather and the Alcantara. At purchase, you can customize one of these yourself. You can change these colors on the lovely cloth door handles that are there to save weight, by the way. That's how serious this thing is about going to the track. Saving weight with a door handle of all things. Pretty racy. It's not too unfamiliar if you were a Volkswagen owner. Some of these buttons are actually not a lot different than you'd find in your Passat or your GTI or Golf R. It is still, you know, a Volkswagen product at the end of the day. And I don't mind that they do that because that keeps some of the costs down. It is already a pretty high cost for a car, a high premium, but well worth it in my opinion. They've got the bypass valve in the exhaust that you can close to at least be somewhat civil. Not that anyone would want to be civil in one of these cars, but you can be that way should you be driving down the road or taking just one kid to school. I will say we are in a instructor's car, so mind the brake pedal on that side. That's for the emergency situations when someone like me gets carried away, they can keep me in check. But yeah, pretty amazing car overall. I'm again a massive fan of Porsche 911s. You drive one, you will never ever say anything bad about them again. This thing is probably the best machine I've ever driven on a track, and this is a road going car. I mean, put it that way, this thing is as close to a race car in my mind that you can get in a street car. So yeah, pretty impressive overall. So, 911 GT3, not the RS version, this is the old man's version, if you can believe an old man would drive it. On the Vegas Exotics track, which is a little techy. There's some camber in some of these corners, late apexes, stuff that I'm a little familiar with from Atlantic Motorsport Park. But the Porsche is just so good. I mean, we did like, what, half an outlap, and I was already feeling a little deep there. I was already feeling pretty good on it. Sorry about that. This corner is kind of cool, actually. It goes quite wide on the entry. I'll go, you good here?
Accelerate, yeah.
Yeah, cool, we can go around the Lambo. Yeah, but I think the brakes feel as good as I remember. These ones feel a little more used. I imagine you guys have quite a few clients in these. But overall, I mean, this car just drives so much confidence. Little tap, in, stomp them. I braked really early there, but that's because we have an Audi in front of us. So we'll hold it tight on the exit. Yeah, mega good noise in the back of the Porsche. Considering all the horror stories of the older Porsches and the rear engines, this thing's just so good, so balanced. I think the four-wheel steering is a big part of that. I think they've done a really good job, Porsche, in engineering this car to still be a driver's car while adding some of the modern tech. 500 horsepower, you can certainly tell that it has that engine to work with. A little squirrely on the brakes. I could be a little smoother than that. I think this corner you could really fly through, but right here it gets a little light. It's kind of nice. Pretty sweet, actually. Pretty nice car. Clip the curb, lots of torque in the Porsche, a little bit understeer. Had to get on and off the throttle. Not the smoothest I've ever done, but that's okay. Little lift. Clip the apex. We'll brake early again because why not? Does want to understeer a little bit, but that's a street car after all. It's still on, what are we on for tires? Michelin Cup 2s?
Yep.
Yeah, not bad. Pretty familiar tire for anyone who owns a performance car. Seems to be the standard. Lots of guys on them at the Nürburgring as well. Oh, this corner just flows so nicely with that camber. It's beautiful. You can even pick up the throttle probably a little earlier than that. Clip the curb because why not? Let's see if I can get this one right this time. I turned in a bit early. It's gonna give us a bit of bounce.
Are you good?
All right, that's good. So we'll head it in.
Yeah, overall, your line's looking really good. Coming down the hill, just a little later on your turn-in.
Which, the cambered one at the end?
You know the one where we go up and then back down, and it kind of has.
Yeah, I wasn't using all the track right. Yeah. I turned in really early because I still don't.
It's tough, man.
It's blind, so I've got to.
You don't know until you get there.
Yeah, I got to find the sighting cone.
To get on that one.
Yeah, I've got to find the sighting cone.